Okay, folks, so thanks a million. We also have the Samaritans here today as well, and the ladies at the back will be handing out some cards too. But just to introduce our first speaker, sorry, not our first speaker, our third speaker this afternoon, but on a different topic, Ryan Cinnamon. And some of you may be familiar with Ryan's story. I'm not going to introduce him too long by telling his story for him. Only what I will say is that I first heard Ryan speak when he was probably about 16, so a few years older than I Ryan, and definitely one of the most inspirational speakers I've ever heard. So I think this will be in for a treat this afternoon. Thanks, William.
Hello everyone. I'm here today to talk to you about my story. But before I do that, I understand the position you are in. That's why I'm going to take my time and drag this out as much as I can so you don't have to go back to class. Then I find out you finished at half 2, yeah? Yeah, then go past. When I was younger, I was a sporty person. All I wanted to do was play football. I remember when I was in primary school, I would count down the minutes until school was over. And that wasn't even for a match, it was just for training. That was the kind of mentality I had. I didn't know this at the time, but my last ever football game was against Green Island when I played for Grosvenor Boys. We lost that game 3-1, but that didn't matter to me, because my dad was there to see me play for the last time. The night before my GCSE science module, I felt a pain in my back and a numbness in my right leg. My mum called the out of hours and they thought it was a trapped nerve. I couldn't take the pain anymore, so I tried to get in the car, but I couldn't. Eventually, I fell asleep. The next day, on Thursday, 11th November 2010, at the age of just 15, my life changed forever. When I walked down the stairs that day, I felt no pain from the night before. As soon as I reached the hallway, I felt a rubbing in my stomach. I went to the toilet and was sick everywhere. My dad told me he would clean it. So I went in the living room and I lay down on the couch. Suddenly, I couldn't feel my legs from the waist down. I grabbed onto the door handle and dragged myself over to the stairs at the railing. I stood for a bit, but my legs were lifeless. I had no feeling, and they were just there. I blacked out and fell and hit my head. I heard my head smack off the ground, but I couldn't feel it. My dad came over. "Ryan, get up, Ryan." I was just lying there in a daze. I was just saying to him, "Leave me here." My dad picked me up, sat me on the couch. All you could see is how white my legs were. He eventually rung the ambulance, and when they came, they said a question to me. But then I just passed out. The ambulance took me to Daisy Hill, where they diagnosed me with a dissecting aortic aneurysm. They were all shocked because this doesn't happen to a 15-year-old. En route to the city hospital, the aneurysm ruptured, and I had no palpable pulse. I was whisked straight into theatre for surgery, which lasted 10 hours, which would seem like a lifetime to my family after being told that I had a 10% chance of survival. I lost 7 litres of blood and received 64 units of blood to make up for what I had lost during the surgery. That is equivalent to 64 different people that donated blood to help save my life. The next day, due to lack of blood flow to my legs, I had to get both of them amputated through the knee. I woke up on the Saturday at 8 o'clock in the morning. The same time and day I would have got up for a football match. Due to the surgery, my lungs collapsed and I wasn't able to speak as there was a tube down my throat. The first thing I wrote down was how did we do against Warren Point, the team we were playing that day. My mentality was still the same at this point. I was told 3 times that I had lost my legs. The first 2 times I don't remember because I was in not much drugs and painkillers. The third time I got told, the nurse said to me, "Brian, do you want me to get your mother?" Because I was asking her to pull my legs out from underneath the blanket. She said to me, I said, "No, I don't." She told me that I lost my legs. I was just staring at the ceiling I had no thoughts, couldn't believe, just staring at the ceiling in disbelief. I remained in ICU for 3.5 weeks. I returned to theatre on November 24th as the artery beginning to dissect above the repair. This time there's a 50% chance that I could have been paralysed from the waist down. I returned home on the 20th of December. That's when it really hit home. When I was in hospital, I had a false sense of the impact that this had on my life. I thought that I would have got back to football, but this was just my mind reassuring me that everything will be alright and nothing will change. But in fact it wasn't. I had many sleepless nights. Sometimes I wondered why I even survived this. It wasn't until I took a step back and looked at the bigger picture. I was alive. Being in that state of mind only allowed me to think of myself, but not how it affected my family and friends. My family and friends support helped me get through the difficult times. While I was in hospital, my friends were praying for me in school and visiting me. When I got out, they were a big help to me. The only thing about my friends is that they treat me like everyone else. I am still the same person, only with better legs. My advice is that you should all be there for your friends. Listen to them and notice them when they're not being themselves. I had a lot of challenges put in front of me. I had 2 options. Either sit back and do nothing and feeling sorry for myself, or carrying on with my life. I walked for the first time on the 1st of February. From there it took for me to get through my rehabilitation 7 weeks. I was also going through hand therapy due to it getting damaged during the first surgery. My left hand was actually written off by the occupational therapists, but I didn't know this at the time. My tendons in my left hand were stiff due to the damage caused. I would have sellotaped my hands to the weights. I didn't give up. This didn't only help me physically, it helped me mentally. Especially hearing that they thought the function wouldn't come back. I am also the first person in Ireland to drive a car with no adaptations using computerized knees. My mentality changed throughout my experience. When I was first getting my prosthetics, I wanted them to look like skin. I didn't want them to show the metal. Looking back at this, I don't know why I would have thought that in the first place. I didn't accept myself. That's the one thing that everyone should do. It doesn't matter where you're from, what you look like, how you dress, etc. Love yourself and others will love you. I accept who I am. I am Ryan Cinnamon. I lost both of my legs. I don't get smelly feet, and I change my socks once every year. I have achieved a lot since my life changed. The 4 main achievements for me would be my GCSE results, which I got 2 A's, 5 B's and 2 C's. I carried the Olympic torch around Park Esther and lit the cauldron. I won Young Person Spirit of Northern Ireland Award. And finally, I got my A-level results, which was 2 A's. One thing I am proud of is the blood drive that takes place every year in St Paul's. This year it's on November the 10th. It's the 3rd year for it. As I mentioned earlier, I can't thank people who donated blood that saved me, but we all can help save someone who is in need now. I would encourage all of you who are 17 years old to donate if you can. We will all, at some point in our lives, know someone who needs a transfusion. It literally is a lifesaver. I wish all of you well. Just remember that it's not about what happens to you, it's about how you overcome it. Asking for help does not mean you're weak. It just means you're ready for a change. In the words of Nino Bobain, your present circumstances do not determine where you can go. They merely determine where you start. Thank you.
Thanks a million, Ryan. Ryan has a few minutes there, just if anybody has any questions, some of the practical ones that can come up about how his legs work and operate and how he manages to get about and drive cars and stuff. So, does anybody have any questions for Ryan? Go, yeah, tell us how your legs work now. Yeah.
My legs are called C legs, so stand for computerized legs. I have a sensor in the knee and the ankle, which when my heel hits the ground, my leg would bend, and when I put weight in my toe, it would swing through. So when I'm walking, it would create a natural gait, just like anyone else would walk. I would have to charge my legs at night. I don't know, sockets are what encase my leg, the limb, my actual limb. So sockets will be plastered when I go to the Musgrave Park Hospital. It takes a lot. I could have the knees that work, knees no bother, but it's all about my sockets, which that encase my leg. They have to be comfortable, set to what helps me the most, and that's really as much as I can say. Like, unless anyone has questions about my legs, what I've been through, anything, like whatever you say, it won't really offend me. But no, sorry.
Ryan, I saw you at the Park Ashton time for Olympic torch, and I have to say you were a fantastic young man.
Yeah, thanks.
Are you doing any sport now at all?
Well, I have the running blades now at the minute, so I have to go back up to Musgrave on the 3 appointments now in November, so I have to go back up and get new sockets. When I get them there, I'm going to go back to the running again.
Ryan, you're driving now, you were parked outside.
Yeah.
Did they have to adopt the car anyway?
No, I didn't want to drive with hand controls, so I had to go for a test to see in a simulator to see if I could hit the accelerator and hit the brake quick. So I passed that there and I got to go and drive an automatic. So I would have, these are Sea Legs Generation 3. So they have 3 modes. So I have walking mode, I have a remote that can change it for, I have driving mode, so it keeps my, at the same angle, keeps my knee at the same angle that anyone else would have when they're driving. So it allows me to go to the accelerator, push in, and come back, but it holds. So it's stable. So it allows me to go back and forth. So, and then I don't use the 3rd mode.
What's the third one?
Yeah, I don't know, I can have cycling mode.